Hi guys, Aadil here. We didn't mention it on the pod, but this week, EGX is happening in Birmingham. That's the Electronic Games Expo, and a whole schwack of the Out of Lives crew, including Lucy Yearwood and myself, are going. So expect updates, interviews, and salacious picks, perhaps? Anyway, on with the show.
Welcome to Tanked Up, the podcast. As you know, because you listen to us regularly about craft beer and video games. I'm Ben Noda, and I'm sat on a sofa next to Aadil Koju.
Hello.
And we're joined over the internet, once again, by Lucy Yearwood.
Hello.
Hey, how are you, Lucy? You alright?
I'm good. Tired,
Nice.
but I'm good.
Tired, too much drinking, mate.
Too much work. Been at work for a week and I can't take it anymore, man.
It's done.
I'm
It's done
done.
you over. Yeah. How about you, Aadil? You good?
Yeah, pretty good.
No work for you?
No, I've actually worked on my dissertation this week, so I'm also tired of things. Actually, no, I'm actually feeling invigorated about my work for the first time in a while.
Nice, good. Well, I've got work and a baby, and I'm feeling pretty good, so there's no excuse.
I didn't realize that this was a loaded "How are you?"
Yeah, that's it. Just call you out instantly. Right, we're going to drink some beers and we're going to talk about some video games. I think, strangely, all of us this week have been playing PlayStation games. And as the PlayStation, strangely, and as the PlayStation conference? No, it was like an event, wasn't it?
Was it an event?
It's called the PS4 meeting, PlayStation meeting.
Yeah,
something
PlayStation
like that.
meeting, yeah. We're going to talk a little bit about that and the hardware that they released, just our thoughts on it. But first, as always, beers. What are you going to drink first, Lucy?
Well, I was going to drink the Bloody Notorious from...
Ooh.
You got that? Ooh.
We've got that.
It's conspiracy.
It is.
We were thinking of doing that second because we've got an amber ale.
Oh yeah, we can do that second. Absolutely no problem. So I'm going to drink from one of your favourite brewers
Arbor.
then.
Nice.
Arbor. Rocketman, American IPA.
Ooh, that's a good beer.
It's a good one. It's the first time I've had it, so...
Stop biasing the testing. We're a scientific organization.
Can't be helped. Sometimes just when someone presents and goes, "Oh, what about this beer?" Try it for yourself, see if you like it. But as soon as they present it to you, your eyes just light up. In fact, that's an excellent beer. You will enjoy it. Nice. Right, while you pour, we are going to drink a collaboration beer. It's Wiper and True and Toast, which I believe are a London brewery. They have made an amber ale, which is just called bread pudding, and Toast basically take old bread and use that in the beer.
Yes. I've had a beer similar to that. I think it was, it's called Baby Loan from Brussels Beer Project.
Okay.
Very it's quite distinct actually. I had really malty, homely taste to it, but also then you'd find in I don't know, any other stout or something like that. It had quite a distinct flavour to it.
Yeah. Well, we're sort of, because I assume that the bread is used instead of some of the malt.
Yeah, probably.
So it'd be interesting to see if it has any kind of effect, or whether this just kind of tastes like a very balanced Wiper and True sort of beer, really. So it's kind of like a little test beer, something different.
6.4%.
Yep. I think it said 15 IBUs, 16 IBUs. Yeah, 16. Batch number 1. So it's the first time that they've done this.
I think there's something, if I can steal the bottle from you when you're done pouring. Right. This amber ale contains surplus fresh bread, not old bread.
Okay,
Surplus fresh.
Right.
That's it. That's, I think, key for day old or end of day.
Yes.
To replace a fifth of the malt we would normally use. It was developed in collaboration with Toast Ale, whose profits go to the charity Feedback to support the fight against food waste.
Nice.
This beer is inspired by the idea of bread pudding, a dish traditionally made using leftovers. Brewed with a carefully selected hop and malt combination, brandy-soaked currants infused with vanilla and cinnamon. The result is a rich, velvety amber ale with each bottle containing the equivalent of a slice of bread that would have otherwise been wasted. This beer is unfiltered, unfined, unpasteurized, and alive.
Woo.
It is naturally fermented in the bottle, producing a yeast sediment at the bottom. Store upright and pour gently to leave it there.
Nice. So a fifth
Yeah.
of the malt for a
And
slice
apparently,
of bread.
as we're splitting the bottle, we will each be drinking half a slice of bread.
Nice. Yes. I've already had 2 slices of bread today, so I've hit
Get
my
your
bread quota.
fibre
Yep.
for the day.
Have you poured, Lucy?
Yeah, and I can see very much why you like this beer. It's got a lovely aroma, like tropical fruits, like a bit of mango
Yep.
in there. I think that's from like mainly the Citra hops. It's also got mosaic hops, and pretty much love the mosaic hops. Like probably the best example of that is in the Kernel Mosaic Pale Ale, which I love.
Totally.
But yeah, it's really fresh. It's very crisp. It's just one of those beers that you'd want on like a hot day after work, and it's just like instantly refreshing. It's really nice.
Yeah. Nice. Good. It is one of my favourites.
It's just like the quintessential, American IPA. Everything that you want from it. It's nice and hoppy. It's nice and fresh. It's lovely.
Nice. But this Wiper and True doesn't. The nose is
Really, really light.
it's just not. You're not getting a huge amount off it at all.
In fact, the first thing I'm noticing is just that it's clearly like a 6% beer. Like I can smell that it has some strength to it.
Yeah.
I'd say some light citrus.
Okay.
Maybe. I'm not sure
No,
what
what
it
is it? It's a tang. It's not. The nose is very, very delicate, so it's hard to tell.
And the taste is quite delicate as well, really. There's not anything that really... There's no big flavour in there that really hits you. It's as you would expect from a Wiper and True.
Yeah.
It's quite balanced. There's a little bit of bitterness. There's a slight amount of sweetness that sort of sits throughout the whole taste.
I wouldn't have been able to pick this out, but the brandy-soaked currants. The currants sort of, I think, is that slight tardiness.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have been able to pick it out as currants, but I'd probably pick it out of the family that they're in.
Yeah.
It's really quite nice, but even for a Wiper and True, I would actually say it's delicate.
Yes, very much. Yeah, very. I kind of expected it to be... You kind of have a little bit of the malty. Mm-hmm. Whether that's a little bit of the sweetness as well that you're getting. But it's not kind of... You think of a beer that's maybe made... They're pushing that it's made with bread and it's bread pudding beer. You'd kind of think that maybe the malty nature of it would push through a little bit more. But then it's Wiper and True, so it's going to be balanced, isn't it?
Also, I mean, thanks to that lovely description, they call it bread pudding because it's reusing leftovers less so than it's...
Yes, yeah.
Which is an odd naming convention approach.
How many IBU did you say it had? Was it 16?
16, yeah.
Oh, that's quite low. I would have thought. People
Very light.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly an unfiltered active yeast beer. Like it's basically opaque, but the actual coloring of it is like a premium honey.
It's very, very amber, isn't it?
Yeah.
You almost expect to see a tiny mosquito hidden in there, lost for centuries.
Yeah, it turns out that if you put this into a genetic centrifuge, a raptor comes out.
Awesome. Right, let's begin with...
Which I will be pitching to Wiper and True as the tagline for this beer.
Do it. We should begin with games. Would either of you like to kick off?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, because I haven't really been playing much this week, so mine's probably just going to be a short one. It's just Ratchet and Clank for PS4. I guess it's called it's a remake. It's not really a remaster. It's a remake of the first one. I didn't really play the first one. I mean, have either of you two played the first one? Were you?
I think I played it. I think I'd rented it when it came out, and only played it maybe for a few days, and then never played another one again. It wasn't really. I like platformers, but it's not. I think that more cartoony, kiddie kind of thing. Maybe I was just a little bit too past the aesthetic of it and the gameplay when it came out. But
was that Tools of Destruction? Was that the first?
I think it was just called Ratchet and Clank. Yeah.
Oh.
I think the second one was called Going Commando or something like that.
Oh, right.
I'm not sure.
Destruction's much later. Yeah. Whatever. I played one of them on the PS3 because I think either I got it free with the PS3 or a buddy of mine got it free with his PS3 and just gave it to me because he knew he'd never play it. And again, I played similar to you. I played it for a little bit and then it just sat on the shelf. I didn't even trade it in or anything. I don't know why.
So, what do you think of the having not played the original? I suppose this remake is sort of based on. What do you think of it as a first impression? I suppose.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I mean, it's one of the my favourite PS4 games. First party exclusives, I'd say. Other than Uncharted and Until Dawn, I think this is right there. Up in the higher echelons of the PS4 exclusivities. Like you, Ben, I didn't play the first one because I think I was a teenager when it came out. I was playing games like The Getaway and GTA 3 and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was a bit past that 3D platformer thing, but I've always liked 3D platformers like Spyro the Dragon, another Insomniac game. It's one of my favourite games ever. So it's nice to see 3D platformers coming back, and it's surprising how much you realise that you actually miss them. I think it's maybe it's thing to do with aging because probably kids nowadays, if you have a kid, I'd say definitely make them play Ratchet and Clank, but they might think, oh, I want to play Call of Duty or something like that. So I think it's more of a nostalgia trip more than anything else. But But nevertheless, it's got really good gameplay. The story is it's comical. I mean, I'm not too invested in the story, but it's comical writing. The characters are likable. It's one of the prettiest games I've seen on the console.
Nice.
Yeah, it's colourful. It's zany. It's wacky. It's got really interesting weapons that the developers renowned for. So it's a really good game. I think about 8 hours into it. I think probably the overall story is probably about maybe 15 hours, and if you want to go and do all the side quests, which I'm finding that I am doing, which is surprising because usually I would have thought I'm just going to blast through the single player campaign and that's it. But it's just a testament to how addictive and fun the gameplay is. So, but I haven't picked it up this week, but I am still thinking about it. Every time because I've just started back at work, it's I don't want to play anything too intensive or anything like that. And I'm just thinking, I just want to play some Ratchet and Clank and have fun. That's all I want.
Yeah, just because it is fun.
Yeah, it's relaxing. So
yeah. It seems to be that part of that, these kind of platformers, they don't take themselves too seriously, and they're always. I suppose maybe it's partly the sort of cartoony kind of aesthetic as well, but they do just put themselves over as the number one thing that you're going to get from this is just that it's a fun experience. With stuff like the previous games like Spyro and stuff, mechanically they weren't always tight. They were good.
Yeah, they weren't along the lines of Dark Souls. They weren't trying to punish you by being a platformer. Yeah,
exactly. But you always knew that you'd be able to turn it on and you'd just be able to have fun for sort of 20 minutes or whatever you were going to play it for.
I think that's called the Mario 3 property.
Yeah. What fun! Yeah, we're off to have some Mario 3.
Well, like a platformer which you can pick up and have fun, and it's I wasn't very
Mario
good at it when I first got it.
is sometimes stressful. That's the thing. If you've only got a set amount of lives, if it was on Virtual Console, then I can just save and it's fine. But a finite number of lives platformer, that's not fun anymore.
So Ratchet and Clank doesn't have any of that, then, is it? Or have you not experienced?
No,
because even with Spyro and stuff like that, you had a set amount of lives, but you'd always be able to go back to a save state at some
Yeah.
point to be able to try.
No,
and retry.
I don't think so. I think it's you die, you respawn, and that's it. Like in the section you were at, and that's it. It's fairly easy. So yeah, it's good.
Nice. So it's definitely a pickup if you've got
yeah,
a PS4.
if you've got a PS4. I mean, there's not much coming this holiday. You know, this is the time to pick it up. You know, like it's been a good 6 months since it came out. Probably on sale. It's worth it. You know, just a fun Christmas game. Yeah.
Nice. And I know it released at a slightly reduced price to most games.
Yeah,
Most games these days are priced at around £42, and this came out at something like $29.99, didn't it? It was about a £30 game. So
I asked for it for my birthday, and I was like, "This is like one of the best birthday gifts ever," because it didn't cost a person that much, and it's like hours of entertainment. It's like being a kid again.
Nice. Great, awesome. Aadil, how about you, man? What have you been playing?
Handful of things, but on the PlayStation front, I played Badlands, the
iOS
thing.
Yeah.
And I played it on the Vita, and I got fairly bored of it fairly quick.
Yeah,
it's one of those sort of platformers where you're a black blob, and you go through the levels, and you know there's things that make you bigger, things that make you smaller. What the one unique thing is, it's like those really terrible in Mario 3 the fortress / dungeon battles where you have to keep pace with the level because the level is constantly moving. It's like that. So like if you miss a shrink power up, and then you get to some point,
you're stuck
because you can't fit through the gap. So that's interesting, but I just felt like there wasn't enough. Like maybe it's because it's the early levels and it wasn't that hard. But I was just like, okay, even if I die once, that's fine. And now I know exactly what to do. And most of the time, I was never like I'd see a power up, I'd figure out while looking at the screen what to do. I was never really put in danger of the moving wall.
Like how quickly is it? Is it a Mario 3?
Quite slow.
Right?
Like
because when you said that, I was sort of almost thinking, even though that mechanic isn't in Super Meat Boy as such, you're sort of thinking of that kind of speed of.
Oh yes, no, it's way slower.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I would say it's probably half to a third the speed of the Mario 3 floating fortresses. Like it's not, man. It's probably closer to 2/3, man. It doesn't feel quick at all.
Yeah. So you're not really feeling under any time pressure.
Yeah, isn't one of the main mechanics of the game that because you start with a relatively big size blob, don't they? Doesn't it? Separate and disperse into several tiny blobs, and then one of the main aims of finishing a level is getting as many of those to finish the level. I mean, I'm not too educated on this game because, like you did, I played it on Xbox One. I only probably got through the first couple of levels, and I was like, yeah, I know what it is. Don't need to play this anymore. But I'm sure that's I'm sure that's one of the main hooks of the game. Something like that. It's like. Is a sort of 2D side-scrolling Pikmin when you got all these, little blobs and you have to make them all get to the end of the level. I'm not sure, but
I only encountered the things that made my blob bigger or smaller. I didn't play it for too long, probably just as much as you. And it was it reminded me of Nelumbra.
Oh yeah, I actually like
its
that.
aesthetic. But Nelumbra introduced the mechanics. I mean, when it had a sort of a narrator plot thing, and
the narration wasn't that good on that game, but
it gave them a way of introducing the mechanics at a decent pace, and because it was able to tell you what the mechanic was, the initial puzzles were more difficult, but you knew exactly what to do because you were more educated. And also, you could take them at your own time. I think one of the problems was with this game was like, oh, that made me bigger. I just sort of bumped into it, and I don't really know why I would care about that. There's no sort of time to think or play around.
Yeah.
You just sort of the moving wall is still there,
Yeah.
so it's not.
Yeah.
It's not super fast, but you can't just sort of ruminate.
I think it's good to mention that this was like a really big hit on like iOS, and it might be one of those sort of games where you just pick up and play now and then, like on your commute or something like that. Maybe it doesn't translate as well to console. And even Vita, I would have thought, when you said I picked it up on Vita, I would have thought you had a better time on Vita, because it seems like one of those games you pick up and play. It's not one of those puzzle games that you'd probably continuously play. It seems like very level by level, meant to be picked up now and then. Like
I just have a handful of that style game on the Vita, and there's no reason for me to keep it installed. Like I'd rather play Nilumbra, which is on the same card. So also, it doesn't help that I finally started Killzone Mercenary on the Vita.
Okay.
All right.
Which I hadn't really played before because I was no good with controllers, but now with my Rainbow Six Siege training, I actually do like now I can play a first-person shooter on the Vita, not feel like a total idiot. And I was like, oh wow, now I see why this is like. Now I'm looking for other first-person shooters on the platform,
and it just never happened. Yeah, I felt the same way because it was given away. That was another PS Plus game, and I played it on the Vita, and I was like, this is actually quite fun. But yeah, that first-person shooter on Vita thing didn't last a long time. Sadly.
No, I seem to remember they brought out a Call of Duty game at some point, didn't they? With one of the Call of Duty releases, one of the games, or maybe it wasn't one of the set numbered games that came out. Maybe it was something a game made for Vita with that engine as such.
Yeah,
wasn't that universally panned? That one.
But was absolutely destroyed when it was released because people didn't like the control scheme. They didn't think that the Vita was very, very good for.
The Vita, with Killzone, they actually did a good job with integrating the touchscreen.
Okay.
So, for example, you've got your primary and secondary weapon, and permanently on your HUD is a little blue circle that tells you what your secondary, I guess, the icon of what your secondary weapon is, and you just it's within reach of your right thumb, so you can just tap the screen and you switch weapons, and it becomes really fluid. Which and like you don't really notice that it's a touch screen versus another button. Like it's just because it's permanently there. And it's not in the way. You're just like, oh, and that's my switch, weapon button. Also, they have it so that you have a little sort of mini game ish thing with meleeing. So you hit you hit triangle to melee, and then you go close up, and depending on what their orientation of you and them, it'll draw an arrow, and you'll like either block them if they're punching or smack them, and then 2 or 3 moves before you end up stabbing them to death.
Okay, and you do that.
And it always shows sort of in a light white translucent arrow what to do, and you just trace your finger, but it makes you feel like you're not just watching the assassinate button.
Yes, just the go up and backstab button.
And if you fuck it up, it actually, they won't die as easily, or they might come out of melee and not die, be only injured or whatever. Them.
It's like Severed, that little part. Yeah.
Totally. So I wouldn't bother with the free game. If only because I think Nilumbra was free a couple months ago.
Right. It was, yeah.
And I'm not like a huge fan of that, but I enjoyed it more. I ended up playing it for at least 3 times as long first sitting. So, and I might be missing something out. I also was using standard controls. So I tried the touch controls and was like, this doesn't seem like it's that much more convenient. And maybe I'm missing something on the nuance of the touch controls that the iOS
could be.
Had.
Yeah, it may well be, because that game won so many awards. I think it was like Apple's Game of the Year nomination for the year it came out and stuff like that. So, yeah,
that makes me almost want to
try it on iOS.
Reinstall it and just go a little further. Also, the fact that apparently they split into lemmings.
I can't imagine the experience is that much different on iOS versus Vita. Really.
Well, I mean, I I did like one section of one level with the touch controls, and then I just went back to the buttons. And maybe it is actually more streamlined and more fluid.
But you feel more comfortable with buttons. Over,
well, especially if I'm holding the.
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah. Just doesn't feel as comfortable. Doesn't feel as easy to use sort of the touch.
I know about that. It just I mean, I think I'm old, so I feel like I have more control with buttons.
With
physical, tactile feel.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, we might brush on the Vita later, or like Sony did, never speak about it again.
What have you been playing there, Ben?
So the game that's taken up most of my time is Infamous Second Son, which I picked up on PS4 very, very cheaply in a sale last week, which may be finished now. But they were selling a lot of the sort of release PS4 games, or that first quarter
launch window,
sort of release launch window, and Killzone Shallow Fall.
Knack?
Yeah, that's what it was called. Maybe Knack was. But loads of games were cheap, and Infamous was the one that sort of jumped out at me the most, because I played the first Infamous game, really enjoyed it. First Light, which was based on the Second Son engine, but it was like a standalone element. You play as one of the sort of supporting characters from Second Son. That was free on PlayStation Plus months and months ago. And I played that and really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the Infamous game, so I thought, great, I'll pick this up. It's almost like an open world sort of platformer kind of game. There's a lot of jumping on buildings, moving around with your different powers.
I was going to say, the powers sort of give it the platforming feel.
Yes, and it's interesting because with the first Infamous, you were a character that had one specific set of powers. You had, various moves that you could do with those powers. With this game, Delson, the most boring protagonist in gaming history.
Oh, that is a tall order. I don't know if
I'd have to agree with them. I'd have to agree.
Really?
With them.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's just, oh my god.
He's the worst. And his beanie. Oh, God.
Well, it's kind of, it's set in Seattle. And he is kind of, how do we personify Seattle in one character? Let's try and push as much into this guy as possible.
So wait, is he a Starbucks or Seattle's best?
Well, definitely a Starbucks guy. But he goes around. There's, with Infamous, it's an open world game, so there's loads of extra little bits that you can do. And with Delson in this, you can go and spray paint, fucking cliche spray paint every fucking thing possible.
That mini game was fun once with the touch pad on the PS4 controller, because I played that when it came out, so it was like, oh, this is new, touchpad. And then after the second one, was it the touchpad or was it holding the
six-axis
controller?
The DS4. So you swing, you hold your controller sideways, he'll shake the can, you whip it back up, he'll shake the can again, and then you hold, and
the L2 button
uses the light bar or something within the pad. You basically move it up and down as if you're shaking, you're using a spray can as such. So it tries to mimic that. And as you say, Lucy, it was fun the first time, but then it just, just got... Exactly. And
for the artists who actually drew those murals. And it's like, oh, I'm so proud of this. It's in my game, and nobody probably saw the second one because it was such a boring mechanic after the second time.
But it's one of those that you do the first spray, and you think, okay, well, this is very Banksy. It is very much that stencil art style.
And now is it also sort of charged politically?
Well, it is, yeah.
And I say that loosely,
yeah.
And
it was because he was rebelling against the man in that game.
Exactly,
so
exactly.
And was the man actually just his dad, and he didn't want to go to college yet, and it was his gap year? Is that the plot?
Oh God. I mean, there's parts of the story which are okay, but I thought it was generally it's quite loose. There's not a huge amount of story missions to actually do. And I completed it over maybe 4 2-hour sessions.
Oh, wow.
It's only maybe 8 to 10 hours
That's
long.
Short.
And I went through, as I do with my first run through of most of these games,
The first run through, you're a dad now. You're only
I know. But I went through as the good side.
Oh, yeah,
with Infamous, you have like a good karma, bad karma situation.
Yeah, reviews should have the in brackets because you can either be famous or infamous. Yeah,
but we've spoken before about choices and decision making within games and morality and
your fixed moral code of the developer.
Yeah, and so I went through as good. And that's fine. It was okay. I'm not sure really what it would have given me. There was a few big choices, but ultimately it was just, you're good, so you now get access at level 5 being good to this power. Or had you have been evil level 5, you would have got this power instead. So
which is really, like the Star Wars.
Yes,
approach.
But there's no real benefit to that, because if you'd have gone bad, you'd have still got a power.
Oh, but like, so I guess maybe with Star Wars it matters because we have like a sort of nostalgic attachment to these powers. Like,
possibly.
In Force Unleashed, I was like, I'm not gonna be good because I want to fucking electrocute people.
Yeah.
Badass. I want to be a young emperor, basically.
And kind of, I think the first Infamous game played on that a little bit and tried to, because was it the Force Unleashed, isn't it? That's the game, yeah. And I think that, as I say, the first Infamous played on that a little bit because the character Cole had electric powers.
Yeah.
So you could run around and electrocute people. Whereas Delson has, what's the first power he gets? Smoke. You then go neon.
Of course, he's from Seattle and he's got a beanie and he smokes. What a douche! I see what you're saying.
But then it's neon.
That's the thing.
Is it concrete? Concrete is the last power. I think.
Okay, you're gonna.
And that's usually only unlocked. That was unlocked after the boss battle, so you could only use that.
Yeah, you only get that afterwards. Yeah.
If you ever wanted to go into like the side missions after the campaign, which I really didn't want to do. I mean, my opinions on Infamous Second Son. I mean, I'm going to sound really negative, and I did enjoy the game, but it just seems like a typical launch window game, which you pick up, you play, and you never go back to again. And you probably forget about it. It's sort of like Rise Son of Rome. Really pretty.
Yeah.
Got some good ideas, but it's just didn't really.
It's more of a dressed up tech demo.
Yeah,
experience.
That's
no effort has been put into making the. It's all about gameplay, not about experience in that sense.
Yeah, I think it almost...
Which is like your typical launch window.
Yeah. It's kind of the same. I don't think it was quite as hammered as Knack was. But it's very similar in that it is just... you run through, you do a few things, it's a little bit of gameplay, and there's not much more to it than that. It doesn't really pull you in. I really didn't give a shit about any of the characters.
It sounds like you actively took it.
I don't want to spoil it too much, but one of the main characters dies, and it's like, I really don't care. I really didn't care.
Yeah.
And it's like, what I always describe with Infamous games is that I know lots of people like Infamous games, but I really find them one-dimensional. It's like the choice system. If you go good, then that's all you're going to receive. Even if you're 52% good, 48% bad, the game will decide that you're good. And it's like I think in this one you only unlock sort of ending depending on your choices. Because
completely.
Because,
you can make a final choice at the end, whether to do the good mission or the evil version of it.
But mine locked me out of the bad version because I was more good.
Too good?
And it's like,
really? Well,
because I would have gone the bad version any day, even though I didn't care what happened. I was like, of course I'd go the bad version, but it locked me out of it. It's like, no, you can't do the bad version. I was like, why?
Oh, that's...
Just because I saved someone earlier on. This is what I'm on about, one dimension, yeah. And
it doesn't give you any incentive though to sort of sit in that middle ground, because there's so many
None
things,
of these games give you an incentive.
There's so many things locked. Like, you have to be level 4 or level 5 good or bad to receive these extra special better powers than you currently have, or it upgrades the power that you have significantly, that suddenly you're running around, and if you headshot, on the good side, if you manage to headshot someone with a projectile, that instantly, rather than killing them, it sort of pacifies them. You get good karma
for headshotting.
Yeah. But it then builds up to a special attack. Which, if you so you've got a meter, and if you press down on the D-pad, you do this special attack once that meter has been filled. So it would give you an incentive to try and do, to not kill people, to fill your meter up if you wanted to be good, but you could only get that if you were level 4 good and up. So it's like you almost have to make that choice and be like, you're going through and you'll get this key choice in the game, and it will say, save these people, or sacrifice them for something else. And you think, well, the good option is to save them, so I'll save them. You get to another choice later on, and it's, sacrifice this one person for the greater good, which is the good choice, or do something else, which is the bad choice. And you think, actually, I wanted to do the bad choice, but if I pick that, that's going to drop my level, which means I then don't have access to all of this stuff, which means I'm not as powerful. And the game at this point is then harder, which then I can't headshot that person to be able to get good karma. My meter won't fill up anymore, and suddenly I'm locked out of being able to do stuff.
Yeah.
So
that's why I think
your
the
level
game's badly
drops,
done.
you lose access to the power?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's not like you've unlocked this power, it's now yours to use. It's you've unlocked this power, but it's like a PS Plus game where if you don't have the subscription, you lose all your games.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they were going for. It's
that's why I think the
you
game
into
is
PlayStation Plus.
quite badly balanced, because you can't blur the lines between good and evil, so you have to go one way or the other. And the most fun about Infamous is going into those skill trees and getting better abilities and getting better powers and becoming more, more potent and more strong and more powerful. And because I didn't delve too much into those skill trees, that's another how it felt more one-dimensional. I was just going pew 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 out of my hand at all these enemies, and that was it. I didn't really delve into the other powers, and it's like it just felt quite flat. And you'd expect that from a launch window game. I still enjoyed it. First Light I enjoyed so much more, because I think in Infamous Second Son you peak when you get Fetch's power. That's the name, isn't it? Fetch.
The Fetch.
Yeah, that's when you peak in that game. The neon powers are the best. The other ones are just god awful. I don't know what that television one was, but anyway.
Video.
Can we? I have no information about this game except for what you guys have talked about. You have neon concrete.
So you start off with smoke, and you have a basic set of abilities. You can you shoot projectiles from your hand. You can throw
smoke projectiles.
Yes, smoke projectiles. You can
so
throw.
They do nothing.
Well,
do they go down people's throats and make them cough?
They must solidify in some way. You do get.
They give them cancer. It's secondhand smoke.
You do get a grenade. You do get a grenade which makes them cough and stuns them very slightly. And a few things like that. Neon, you move a lot quicker. You can run up the side of buildings in like a light form.
In terms of traversal,
it's just the effect.
It's just Tron.
Yeah. And it's a bit more about moving around a little bit quicker. You've still got the projectile.
But you lose the smoke when you get the neon?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wasn't understanding.
Yeah.
And that's and the worst part.
Superman.
And the worst part is losing the neon, because that is the best power. So it just peaks way too early, and it's like, I don't care about these other powers, traversal and combat. Fetches powers.
There's a lot of points in the missions as well where it locks you out of being able to use the other powers. So you have to stick with the set that you...
So you can change sets?
You can change it, Okay. So you run out of energy, and you have to absorb smoke from a flaming car or something to be able to recharge yourself.
Gotcha.
Or go up to a neon light to recharge.
Hence neon. Now I understand why.
And to switch between these powers, all you have to do is go and drain the powers from another set.
Right. You're a absorbing man of some sort.
Yes.
So the big thing I want to see in one of these moral choice games is actual time spent on balancing it, such that all good is a viable build, all bad is a viable build, but the core mechanics outside of the beginning of good and the beginning of bad are super complementary, such that if you did the middle ground, I don't even care if it's not quite as good as all good or all bad. not quite as useful. But then it would be a viable option to just be a normal person who sometimes makes moral mistakes.
I was gonna say that you kind of need the Dungeons and Dragons kind of mindset, that there's two different systems balancing. So there's lawful, unlawful, and then there's good and evil, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's lawful, unlawful, chaotic, good, neutral, bad.
Yes, but that's one. So chaotic, good, neutral, bad is one set, isn't it?
No, good, bad, neutral, bad, and then chaotic is the outlier from.
Right. Okay.
Right.
But there
chaotic
are games,
neutral is always what you should play. Is what I'm saying.
But there are games which have additional systems which allow you to roleplay a little bit more.
Multiple dimensions.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't just have one choice or the other. You kind of have different ways to go about this. But actually, I'm not sure how easy that is to put into a game, a board game, a tabletop role-playing game has been able to refine that and put it in. So I think it should be available.
The problem is that these are always presented as binary choices, which is fine. It doesn't have to get, but ultimately, if you look at a set of binary choices, you're going to get a tree with always two branches, right?
Yes, yeah.
But how you interpret that tree is totally different. And so, like, if there will be paths that are mostly yeses or mostly nos, and all it takes is the programmer to be like, or this class of yeses is actually chaotic, or like, this is an easy thing to program. It's just how you're interpreting.
Combination of yeses and nos makes you that kind of
You can easily get the data out of that on some rubric. It's just a question of what is it? How does that affect the gameplay? And that's the hard, like, design element.
I think Telltale do the best in terms of that. It's not always binary. It's like they always blur the lines, which is nice. And it's like, I think Telltale do the best.
Yeah, I think the Telltale games do very well. Let's move on to our beer and on to our topic. So we're going to drink the Beavertown Boneyard. Is that another collaboration beer? Beavertown, it says Cross Boneyard.
Hi.
Bloody Notorious Blood Orange Double IPA.
I think you didn't quite say that right. I think it's the Beavertown Boneyard Bloody Notorious Blood Orange Double IPA.
Didn't I give it quite the intro it deserves? Let's see what
you almost had it, but I think the stumble.
The Beavertown. What?
It's a 9.1.
It is. Yeah, you've already been drinking this a little bit, Lucy, haven't you?
Yeah, because at my local beer shop, Cottage Wines in Birmingham, they had it on tap because I saw Aadil post a picture of the beer, and I was like, I had that a few weeks ago at their tap takeover because I had like Beavertown, they had Siren.
I missed that it was on tap.
Yeah. They had Beavertown, they had Siren, and they had who else? The guys who do Magic Rock. Yeah, that's the ones. Nice. Yeah, they had all three of those. And they had the Bloody Notorious on tap, and that was the first time I tried it. And I was like, this is really nice, and it doesn't feel like 9.1. Yeah, and then a couple weeks after they had this on tap, and I was like, yes, gotta go get this. So I got it Thursday night, and it's such a beautiful beer. I mean, you can smell it from where you are, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
It smells like orange.
It does. Yeah. It's got that sort of hoppiness to it, though, doesn't it? It's kind of like not a sweet orange. It's kind of a little bit sort of
bloody.
Yeah.
Bloody orange. Bit of caramel as well in the smell.
Yeah. What's interesting is the orange notes just flow out of the glass, but when you actually take a proper nose, you can tell how much more is going on. Like that's where the caramel's coming in. That's where that sort of hoppiness.
And that taste is good as well. It doesn't have that really, really sweet kind of the sweetness that you get on the nose isn't quite there in the flavour. It's kind of pared down a little bit to allow these other flavours to come through a little bit more. So like you say, on the flavour you get that caramel. You get a nice sort of mix of flavours. So that's very good.
This is a very good beer.
It's a good job it's only in a little can at 9.1 as well, isn't it?
I got a whole growler full. Got 2 litres of it.
Do you still have 2 litres of it?
No. But to be fair, I only had a glass yesterday, and the rest might be gone tonight. So
How big was that glass? Okay.
I think it was a growler size.
Yeah, size glass,
Nice,
2 litre
nice.
glass.
Oh, that's like that Family Guy joke with Brian. Brian, I think we have a drink problem. What? I'm only having one drink, and he's drinking wine out of a big gulp. Wow, I Family Guy referenced. It feels like 2001.
Bloody hell.
I'm just an undergrad.
Well, we have been talking about PlayStation 4 launch games, so we have gone back a few years,
yeah,
but maybe
but
not
no.
quite that far. But
Well, yeah, I've thrown myself off now. I only know things I knew in 2001.
right, let's talk about then the PlayStation meeting. That's what it was, wasn't it? PlayStation
Yeah.
meeting.
Yes.
2016, where Andrew House and Sean Layden. No, not Sean Layden.
No,
He's one of the other
Mark
guys. What's the other
Cerny.
guy?
Yeah, Mark Cerny.
Yeah,
There you
Mark
go.
Cerny.
Sean Layden would have been better, probably. Actually,
Oh,
he did quite a lot of their
certainly,
E3 presentation, didn't he? He was very good. But Mark Cerny, such a softly spoken man.
Oh, God,
The
yes.
PlayStation 4 has these things in them. Cool, good.
I think
Tell me
they put
more,
him
but kind
on
of don't
there.
tell me more.
I think he put him on there to hypnotise people. It just didn't work though. But
Yeah,
any
I
other
think they
time,
thought
really.
that more of Sony's fan base were susceptible to ASMR.
Turn on your PlayStation 4. It's very good.
I'm running my hands over a hairbrush.
So we'll talk about sort of our initial impressions and stuff, but they talked about they revealed the PlayStation 4 Slim, which is now going to be the standard PlayStation 4 model.
Which
isn't
they
it?
might as well have said, this is the PlayStation 4.
Yeah. And they
It's
revealed the
just
PlayStation 4.
Yeah, because I looked at Game Newsletter. They said the new look PS4. So is it just going to be called the PS4? I don't know.
I don't know. They didn't really talk much about that one, did they? They
They
jumped
basically said, it's smaller.
Yeah.
They glossed
And then
over
they
it because
jumped
everyone
very-
knows about it already.
Yeah,
People
completely.
have it in their homes. So.
And then they jumped into the PlayStation 4 Pro, which
Can we
is what
pause
the Neo
just a
was.
second? What do you guys
Yeah.
think of the aesthetic of the Slim?
I don't like it as much as the original.
Thank
It's
you,
ugly.
me too.
It's ugly. It's absolute. The only thing I do like about it is the PlayStation
slim.
symbols. Yeah, the Slim, the PlayStation symbols on the bottom. That's really
Yeah.
clever. I like that, but otherwise
Which
it's awful.
But they're only used as feet as such, aren't they? To give you
Yeah.
a sort of
So
a
it's
2
flip
mil
and flop.
clearance from whatever the surface is, unless you have it vertically, which they
Yeah,
don't
I'm guessing
then
they're rubber. Yeah.
exist.
They look weird. Huh?
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
stores their PlayStation vertically these days?
Who knows? I don't. But who knows?
I do.
Yeah, so I also...
Ah!
I do. It's vertical
Why?
because it's next to the PS2 and the PS3, which are also vertical.
Vertical, there we go. Yeah, see, the PS3 vertical made the most sense to me of all of them. But I think that's just because in my testing, it sounded like a smaller jet was passing by.
Yeah, I used to have my PS2 upside down.
So you'd have to lift it up and then insert the disc?
No, you didn't have to do that on the. No, that was on the Slim. On the original PlayStation 2, it didn't have a front-loading. It just used to suck games in like the PlayStation 3 did, didn't it?
Oh.
On the on the
Right,
original PlayStation 2.
I was thinking of the...
Don't think of
yeah.
the Slim.
No,
No,
no, mine had
we're
it.
not there on the Slim.
Mine has a dish tray. The PS.
Yes, it did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it
it had a
comes
dish
out
tray.
the
Yeah,
front. Yeah,
it did. Yeah. So I had mine vertically as well. But so we've there's these new models of PlayStation that are coming out. They do this with all of the PlayStations, don't they? They iterate and they.
All consoles now,
Yeah.
except for Nintendo consoles, come out with a sort of where mid really means between sometime after launch window and before retirement.
Yeah.
Because I think the Xbox Slim actually came not before the halfway of the
Yeah,
cycle.
it might have done.
But anyway, they just come out with a smaller version that's just as powerful, maybe more powerful, but it does all the things. It usually looks better, is almost always smaller, and this is literally just economies of scale.
Yep.
It costs more money to make the old parts, because the people who make the parts sell them to a bunch of people, and no one's buying those parts. And technology has progressed, so you can have the smaller version of the parts for the same price or probably less.
Yeah.
And they're just passing that on, which means it's just a business decision, but what you can do is then give a nice looking piece of kit to the end user so that they feel like they're getting an upgrade, even though you just are making your bottom line better.
Yeah,
And I think the Xbox One S is a good example of that done well. You know, they got rid of the power brick. It looks nice.
It can stand up for the weirdos like me who like to stand up their console.
It's a significant iteration on that.
But even if it didn't do the 4K garbage, like I think just on aesthetics, like physical properties, it does enough for a
absolutely,
mid-tier upgrade.
That's the thing with PlayStation 4. It's a perfect console in most aspects, apart from the noise. It does sound like a jet engine. Aesthetically, it's
you gotta
perfect.
crack it open and clean it.
You know?
Clean your shit.
I'll do that. But
get yourself some more heat flux paste as well.
Thermal paste.
Thermal paste. They always
fucking cotton buds.
Burns
get
out.
The dust away. Yeah.
Well, the dust is apparently the biggest thing, but in most. But apparently the PS4 is particularly bad for having cheap thermal paste, such that some people have reported when they've gone to replace it, they haven't found
it doesn't
any,
exist.
which
It
means
just
burning out your chip.
Completely. Yeah. So we will move on because it's just.
But I'm still talking about the Slim
because the Slim is kind of just a new iteration. We're going to move on to the PS4 Pro. However, before we do, if you do have a PS4 Adil, you don't have it in this country, but would you upgrade or would you only buy one if, say, your PlayStation 4 broke? Very quick.
So pre-meeting, I was thinking there might be a bundle with the VR,
right?
And I'd get the Pro VR,
whatever
the Pro was, here because the odds are I'm going to be here well past June.
Don't worry about Pro too much at the moment. Just about the Slim.
Oh, sure. Slightly the bundle with the VR. You're right. It actually probably would be the Slim.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking of that sort of thing. I'm still tempted by the Slim, but only because that will be on sale, and I miss playing PlayStation games.
Yeah, because you don't have one at the moment.
Because mine's in Canada, and I'm pretty sure in Christmas I can sell it for a decent price, so I can sort of pre-buy its replacement.
Yep.
That's the only reason.
Yeah.
The only reason is if I had my PlayStation 4, I would not give two shits about the Slim.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I'm not going to buy a Slim unless my current PlayStation 4 died and I needed to buy a new console, but because they're going to phase out the original model of the PlayStation 4 and I will only be able to buy a Slim. How about you, Lucy? Would you buy a Slim?
No.
Fair.
Carry on.
Right.
Don't need any explanation. No.
So the big announcement from the meeting,
the announcement
was the PlayStation 4 Pro, which is what the Neo was.
The Neo was the code
name for it. And it is basically a HDR.
No, it's not.
No, because they're bringing a patch, aren't they, to the PlayStation?
It is a PlayStation 4, which has significant processing capabilities such that it can process games at 4K.
Yep.
Also process more particles. And in order to make sure that people don't feel like their PlayStation 4 is now not a new current gen console, they are requiring developers to basically every PlayStation 4 will play every PlayStation 4 disc. However, new games will be able to have this premium mode, and so if you have a Pro, you will have the up-resed resolution, although I don't know if that means the textures are down-resed for PlayStation 4.
Maybe.
Or, because they can't have both sets if it's on a disc to show space. Because otherwise it's bullshit if it's just up-resing. And also, the fancier-looking graphics will appear on your PS4 Pro. And I thought that was significant, the fact that he outright said there will be some graphical, like not just textures, not just resolution, but that there could be an actual difference in what you, like if you stood 15 feet away where you couldn't tell the resolution, this one would look different because it would have more particles, it would have more effect.
So does it also mean that because it's got more particles and more effects, that more can be going on in the background, which essentially means... So we'll take... I know they showed Days Gone as one of the examples, didn't they? Running on Pro. So does that mean that these the zombies or freakers or whatever they're called in Days Gone? Does that mean that with the Pro they can have more stuff going on screen, which means that they could have more of those?
No, they didn't say there'd be more zombies.
Models.
No, they didn't say there'd be more zombies. In theory, that could happen, I'm guessing, but they didn't say that. They said it would be the lighting in that particular demo when he was throwing the grenade or Molotov cocktail.
So the thing
they said the lighting would be better.
We need to differentiate between technically possible and actually probable.
Yep.
Because technically, if lighting is such a bitch, especially because now games are actually like consoles are powerful enough to use volumetric lighting, where lighting is actually affected by the world around it. And so, if you can do volumetric lighting better, then yes, you can have 4 more zombies. Zombies are easy to make, right?
Yep.
But I think I
guarantee
you.
They are freakers, yeah.
I guarantee you, at least on the first gen of PS4 Pro / regular games, there's an embargo on obvious like enemy count stuff.
Yep.
Because that would just make everyone angry. But can the console do that? Yes. Is it possible that someone will make a game which will have 1.2 times the enemies on the Pro mode versus regular? Yes. Is it likely? In a year, maybe. Right?
I know, because one of the big things about the upgrade between the last generation and this generation was that a lot more stuff can happen.
Yes,
that was like was it Dead Rising 3? Was the
more zombies, like thousands
Xbox,
of zombies?
Like, you saw that initial trailer, and it was just waves and waves, and just
so
the eye could
isn't
was the amount of stuff
like
going
a
on.
Generational difference.
Yeah.
So like we're talking, as far as I can tell. Again, I'm doing a lot of like hand wavy assumptions.
Yep.
Given what they've described and what they've shown, you're not talking about like factor of 10, factor of 100 differences. You're talking about probably times 5 on simple enemies.
So a lot of this, to take it to sort of almost the comparison with Xbox, we are looking at something which is almost like a PS 4.5, whereas from my understanding of Scorpio, we don't know, but from what they said in their E3 conference, Scorpio is so much more powerful that it is almost the next generation of Xbox console. So
it's next generation. I don't know what everyone's talking about. We're not having generations anymore. It is the next generation. It's clear.
Yeah, I think. I think what they're saying is that the Scorpio will run on the same base architecture, such that like Xbox 360 backwards compatibility was a thing because it was an entirely different environment.
Yeah.
And I think that in that sense, the Scorpio probably isn't a different generation, but that's also because everyone's resetting to basic. Everyone's using basic PC architecture.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not going to change.
It's only the PlayStation 3 that was the outlier in that kind of.
No, the Cell. Which, if developers had time to figure it out, it should have trounced the Xbox 360. Oh, but wait, developers don't have time to figure out some fucked up environment. What are you, insane? Yes, it turns out you were, but then you figured things out and bought off-the-shelf parts for your PlayStation 4.
So Pro kind of just feels like a...
Sorry, saying it's not the next generation is more of a marketing sort of thing, but the fact that you don't have to say change your Xbox controllers or PS4 controllers, or your old games will run to a certain point, maybe a year or two, into the cycle of the next one. I mean, that's a benefit. It's only going to benefit us because, I always had to buy an adapter or this and that. So, past technology peripherals could run on the next thing. So that, in terms of consumers, is a good thing. But
Moore's Law. Well, I think I think when they say, well, at least from what I gather from Microsoft, especially with their Windows 10 environment approach, I think what they're saying when they say generations are over, they're not talking hardware class. They're not talking about what can run on today's hardware. They're talking turn 180 degrees, look behind you. All those things will continue to work from now for the foreseeable future, and that's why even though there'll be Xbox games that come out in 4 years that won't run on current hardware, everything that runs on current hardware will be plug and play.
So we're looking much more at, as we said earlier, a very PC-based approach, because PCs don't have generations.
Well, they sort of do. They have, especially with graphics cards.
You have new releases of graphics cards, yes, you do.
Yeah, but it will
everything
particularly work on
still plays on that.
Yeah, exactly.
You still have your same rig,
a Windows 95 game, aren't you?
95's compatibility mode should work.
Right, Windows 3.1.
DOSBox works. But yeah, you're right. Like, then you're looking at emulation and stuff.
Yeah.
And in fact, one of the DOSBox was one of the big wins, because especially because it's open source, so that people could re-release their games with the DOS emulator fine.
Yep.
Such that you could make money on old games that people wanted to play, but even if they had the physical media, wouldn't run on current computers, and that sort of solved the ancient game problem.
So taking it back to the PlayStations and the what they've announced, I kind of think that this is almost the way that PlayStation are going to be going from now on. We're going to be getting incremental increases. Do you not think? I think we're going to be into incremental increases every few years, and it's almost going to be it's a PC in a PlayStation branded box, and in 3 years' time, this is the upgrade to that. Then this is the upgrade to that. We're not at all. Changing the architecture. No?
You know why I disagree? Because PlayStation have obviously put a lot of emphasis, on the PS4 Pro. Yeah? I think they've been blindsided by what Xbox did, which is surprising because they had 3 months to prepare this PS4 meeting. But considering that
Neo was in development before.
Exactly, yeah. So it's a bit tricky in that sense, because
I think that's why the meeting was so low key.
The parts would have been bought, the PlayStation, the final PS4 Pro, the schematics and everything would have been done by then. But what's concerning for me is if PlayStation are banking on this new Pro to be their console for the next few years. It doesn't matter this holiday, because there's about 4 different PS4 consoles out on the market. They'll outsell Xbox once again, no problem. Yeah, they have to. Just even if the sales are split across all platforms and VR, they'll outdo Xbox any day of the week. But what concerns me is when Xbox Scorpio. Maybe it's not a giant leap in terms of PS4 Pro, but depending on how they market it, and if people start flocking to Xbox, and Microsoft, what are PlayStation going to do if they don't have anything to compete with the Scorpio? Even if it's not on a technical sense, if they don't have anything to compete on a marketing sense, because presumably they're not going to put out a console next year. R&D will take longer than that, but they can't afford to be off the market in a sense and not have a better console. They can't have the PS4 Pro Plus next year or the year after. They have to come up with the PS4 5.
So
PS5
I was going to Do we then get into a cycle of PS5, PS5 Pro, PS6, PS6 Pro? So you almost have this 0.5.
I think that they saw Apple making a hand over fix with iPhone 6, iPhone 6s. That's what they're trying to do, but it's just a fundamentally different thing. Yeah. Like they saw I think they're chasing the upgrade patterns of phones.
Yeah.
Andrew House compared it to PCs. He said mid-generation of a console generation. People will tend to flock to PC to get that extra GPU, the extra power. And it's like, no,
because they have a games library that... I think
concerned that this generation will go so long, but it won't. But it's just like, just wait 4 years, release a new platform, because technology goes to that extent. Things are cheaper.
Completely, yeah. we used to have console generations that were maybe 4 or 5 years, and then Xbox 360 went for, 8 years?
Yeah.
PS3 was 7 years, which is possibly the longest console generation we've had. So they are looking to maybe bring that back down again to almost maybe a 3 or 4 year, maybe 5 year cycle. But 5 years now, looking at them saying 3 years on, going, the Pro is coming out on Xbox 3 years on, saying the Scorpio will be out next year, so that's a 4 year cycle. We're getting much shorter and shorter. And graphics cards are released every year, every 18 months maybe. So that's a really short cycle for hardware, for PC upgrades, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean...
so are they trying to then ape that and get into the... Yeah, but it's...
but the thing is, just because I think what they miss is that the average PC user, I think, upgrades every third generation.
So every, say, if it's an 18-month cycle, that's 3 years, that's, say, 4.5 years.
Yeah, like the average... Like, if you have you're looking at a 10 series if you have an 8 series or a 7 series.
Yeah.
GTX, because who buys AMD? I said that just to be contrary, but so yes, their PC is such a small market, and yes, there are people buying the new graphics cards all the time, but they're not the same people.
No, they're not. They're not.
And when you look at consoles, you don't have the same, because PCs are so malleable. You have this sort of generation skipping ability, but with consoles, you don't. And I think that's just a fundamental misunderstanding of markets. I also think that Xbox coming out with a Slim, which besides 4K is the same thing, and then saying we also have this insane and powerful thing coming in a year and a half. It's going to be great.
Yeah,
it's exactly what you need to do, because what PlayStation has done, Sony's done, is said, we've got a more powerful console here now. Oh, but don't be pissed, because we'll make sure anything that works on that will work old. Xbox has not made that commitment. So the Scorpio can be the Xbox, like Microsoft can just make it a new generation. They can just say, you know what, this thing's so powerful, these are just a new set of games. Or they can say what Sony has said, but they have that option, right? And I guarantee you, architecturally, it's not an issue.
But from just to finish, I suppose I would come at it slightly differently, and I would think, well, Xbox have just released a Slim, and I can get a Scorpio, or whatever they're going to call it, in a year's time. Why would I buy a Slim? However, I've got £250, so I can buy a PlayStation 4, or maybe I'll give it a month and I'll save up the extra £100 and then I can buy myself a Pro, and I can have that now. I can jump between these two different SKUs. If I really wanted to, I could save a little bit more money, or I can wait a year to buy a Scorpio and kind of think, well, I'm spending £300 on a Slim, or £250, however much it is, and then in a year's time I'm going to be spending another £300, or I'm spending $250 now, or $350.
I think the question is, I think they're so one. Xbox isn't chasing new console users.
No,
they're chasing
existing.
PlayStation users.
They are chasing PlayStation.
If I was a PlayStation user, like a normal person, and I had heard all the rumors about the Pro, I might have been saving some money.
Yeah.
Having heard of what the Pro was, I'm looking at, do I keep saving the money because I shouldn't spend money? No, that's not how people work. Or do I buy this console, which now gives me access to a bunch of exclusives for less? Because, oh wait, one thing we haven't talked about, and I know we're running out of time, but it's totally unclear what this thing... Like, they showed a bunch of pretty fucking videos, but they didn't show what the PlayStation 4 version looks like. We have no one has any idea.
Comparison,
you know what? Yeah. I'm going to buy myself an Xbox One Slim, because it's out now, and it does 4K. So I have a fancy... I'm future-proof resolution-wise, and I get access to a bunch of games.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair.
Yeah. Just my closing comments on this. I just think Microsoft, they were falling behind in the console race. They had to do something. With the Xbox One S, that addressed a lot of the feedback and problems that the original Xbox had, which is why I would probably buy an Xbox One S. They didn't focus on HDR and 4K on the Xbox One S. That was just, this is just an extra benefit that you get from it. Whereas PlayStation, you had no problems with the PS4. It's running away. It's run away its success. They didn't have to do anything. But yet they come out with the PS4 Pro. I think that was really to sell their HDR and 4K TVs because they focused on that particularly. And I actually thought I was looking at something in January at CES and thinking they were selling their TVs, and that's what it was. I imagine that would have come up from the higher-ups in Sony, which could be a potential problem where PlayStation is still under the Sony umbrella. They have no control of what shareholders want to do, and that's probably why the PS4 Pro exists. And just in terms of going forward in the what happens next year, I think Sony will have to come out and compete with the Scorpio. And at this particular time, I don't think it's as doomsday as everyone thinks. Like Xbox have won the console generation because only this week, no one actually knows. Most people outside of gaming circles actually know what's happened in this last week with all the bad PR stuff, Fallout mod outs and mods and stuff like that. But if Sony don't stem the negative press that they're getting, it could get ugly, because I think VR will be okay, but in terms of the fact that I have no first party games with Holiday and...
Which is nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Perhaps we'll talk about that next week. But you with your first comment, you kind of read my mind. And I had a final question for both of you. And it wasn't, will you buy a PlayStation 4 Pro? It was, are you going to buy a 4K TV?
No. Well, I don't actually have a TV, but 4K TVs are still a premium.
Yeah.
The one thing we sort of glossed over, for those of you who didn't watch the meeting, there's a future patch which will make all PlayStation 4s HDR capable.
Yep.
Having said that, the games themselves have to be made HDR capable, but that does mean that future games will this new advance will, on the right TV, make your current PlayStation 4 able to make these new games look just as good. Now, what I want to say is, I feel like consumer electronics is outpacing the consumers.
Yeah,
because
completely.
2 years ago, 4K was the thing. They're like, nope, everyone's going to buy 4K. This is the thing we're going to push. And not a lot of people bought 4K. Mm-hmm. And this past CES, 4K was out the window because every year you have to have a thing, and HDR came out. And HDR is basically just the ability to show more colors and more contrast. It's a spec that says...
High definition resolution?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, high dynamic range.
Nobody knows.
No, I'm a photographer. I should know. I just blanked. It's a high dynamic range, which literally means the range of colors is high.
Yep. And dynamic.
Yeah. So in photography, that means you take several pictures at different exposures and you combine them to have the range that you couldn't do with a camera. With TVs, it means there's a minimum number of colors and a minimum contrast ratio you have to hit in order to have that spec.
Yeah.
So Sony's actually giving away the thing that's 2 TV generations in front of everyone, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I have a 4K TV. Mine's 4K. I haven't even checked if will work with HDR. I'm not sure if it's HDR. I think it's Dolby something that these new consoles, the Xbox One S, and the PS4 will work with. I haven't checked that. Is it
less than 6 months old?
I believe so. I only got it as a replacement of my last one. And I think I read somewhere that, this might have been a while ago, but that these TVs are getting a firmware update so they can support HDR. But I care so little about that, I haven't even researched it. I'm considering getting an Xbox One S, but I don't care about the 4K or HDR. That time, even people with 4K, if I cared that much, I'd be a PC player. And I think that's where
I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. If you actually... if you gave a shit, you're a PC player. Yeah,
in which case 4K is not that great of a resolution. Pixel density.
No. We've all seen how different Uncharted is compared to The Last of Us. And it's like, you can do that on the same hardware, and no one's going to give a crap how pretty it looks.
Yeah.
We want better gameplay. We want sturdy
I
frame
will
rate.
say this about HDR. I know we're running out of time, but I did actually look into the spec. And in order for a TV to pass the HDR spec, it needs to be able to render HDR content. It doesn't need to be able to... so content that is HDR spec has some sort of flag. And so there's a workaround where your 4K TV, which doesn't have the high dynamic range of colors, but has a firmware update...
Can still show that.
...that allows it to play HDR content... It gets to say it's an HDR TV.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so, I think that's the case with mine, and mine's a Sony. I think that's what they've done.
So HDR as a badge isn't it's the solid thing. So the fact that that's being given away, well, it's like, okay, I don't even know what that means. So it turns out it means that after a firmware update, it'll process things to the same visual clarity and depth as it is now, that these things happen to be fancier looking. Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, definitely. So let's finish then for this week. You've had our thoughts on the PlayStation 4 Pro on 4K TVs. Now you're going to get our thoughts on the beers. Adil, what was your favourite beer of the episode? We had the Wiper and True and Toast collaboration Amber Ale, or the Beavertown Boneyard Bloody Notorious Blood Orange Double IPA.
I think I'm going to go for the latter, and not just because it's just in your face more, because it's not. It's actually quite a balanced double IPA. I mean, it's still a double IPA, but I thought there were like the notes, like that there was different moments of taste. It wasn't just sort of a in your face IPA. And I actually thought, even though the Toast was with this stereotypical Wiper and True sort of balanced, slight nuance, I thought it was, in the end, although it's tasty fucking beers, Wiper and True, there wasn't a lot that sort of would make me pick it over other Wiper and True.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't need to say much more than that. I completely agree. Lucy, you had the Arbor Rocketman American IPA,
yes,
and the Beavertown Boneyard Blood Notorious Double IPA.
Yeah,
which do you prefer?
I'm split. I can't decide, because I love that Bloody Notorious one. It doesn't feel like 9.1. It's something that you could drink, just... It's
very
hoppy.
Much.
And the Rocketman, it's just something like, you could drink that on a session. It's very, very fresh, very hoppy, very, very crisp. No, I can't decide. I'm split. Get them both.
No, that's fair. So
both.
2 good beers this week for you.
Yes.
Yeah, good. So this week, I'm feeling a little bit tanked up. You don't quite feel that 9.1%, do you, in that beer? You don't. It doesn't come through in the taste, but yeah, you definitely suddenly kind of after.
I will say that you managed to pick Infamous and Bloody Notorious, which I think is a nice little...
nice.
Totally planned.
Yes. Weeks in the planning.
If someone wanted to talk to you about that amazing planning, Ben, how would they reach you?
You can reach the podcast at tankedup_cast on Twitter. You can reach myself at Nova_47. You can also email the podcast if you want to do so and give us longer thoughts than Twitter allows. Tankedup.cast at gmail.com. Thank you very much, sir. How do they get hold of you, Adam?
Besides the Tanked Up email or the Tanked Up Twitter, which I occasionally actually touch.
Sometimes.
Usually to the consternation of Ben, because he's like, wait, what is going on? Because it's so rare. But then a reply will come. He's like, I don't understand. Oh, what the hell. You can reach me at the Omniarch, TheOMNIARCH, and that's also my handle on all of the things.
Nice. Lucy, how do we get hold of you?
You can follow me on Twitter at beerresistible_. I'm usually retweeting what the Tanked Up guys say and liking all their tweets, so you can find me, vicariously through them. And if you want to add me on Steam, PS4, Xbox One, no clue how you'd add anybody on Nintendo platforms, but it's Juicy Loose 9.
That's because the Nintendo platform involves 17 rotating 56-digit codes.
One day we might actually speak about Nintendo, but not
NX.
today. Well, yeah, maybe when we
happen.
work out what the NX is. However, Zelda is looking fucking fantastic from all the tiny
Doesn't
little
she
teasers
always,
they're
though?
doing.
She's got such a good fashion sense.
She does, she does. Right, we have been tanked up for another week. Thank you very much for listening. Remember, we're part of the Out of Lives network. You can go to outoflives.net to look at lots of articles and listen to loads of other podcasts. But for this week, goodbye!
Ciao.
Bye.
Woohoo.
Bawap. Ooh. 1 minute.
Where's my phone? Oh, it's... I'm like, Siri, set a timer for 1 minute.
That's a minute. That's got to be a minute.
Oh, wow. She saw you coming a mile away.
She just
She said ready.
She's already listening.